Luxury apartment fire in New Taipei City extinguished after 2.5 hours. Taiwan legislature approves 2025 budget with record cuts. New Hotel Dùa Kenting opens amid tourism slump. President Donald Trump returns to the White House. Hotel fire at popular ski resort in Turkey. China executes man who plowed car into crowds. Apple suspends error-strewn AI-generated news alerts. Iceland's vertical farm turning algae into food.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Wednesday, January 22nd, and here are your top stories. And for today's Taiwan's news, a fire broke out at a luxury apartment in Xinzhuang district early this morning. Flames engulfed the 16th and 17th floors. No injuries were reported, and the blaze was extinguished after 2.5 hours. Damage assessment is ongoing. After nearly 20 hours of voting, Taiwan's legislature approved the 2025 central government budget, cutting 207.5 billion NT dollars, a record high. Expenditures were reduced to 2.9248 trillion NT dollars, with revenue surpassing 3 trillion NT dollars for the first time. While Kunding sees record low visitors and hotel closures, the new Hotel Dùa Kenting begins trial operations. Local authorities promote year-round activities and infrastructure upgrades to boost tourism. And in global news, President Donald Trump returned from a campaign-style rally at a Washington, D.C. arena to the White House to sign more executive orders. Earlier, after taking the oath of office and attending the event at the Capitol, Trump had signed several other executive orders before a cheering crowd. These included freezing federal hiring except for the military and other excluded categories, requiring federal workers to return to full-time in-person work immediately, restoring freedom of speech, and directing every federal department to address inflation.
Amid a back and forth on the future of TikTok in the U.S., Trump signaled that he believes the U.S. should own half of the social media app. He stated that, to continue operating in the U.S., TikTok would need to relinquish 50% of its earnings to the country. Trump did not elaborate on how this deal would work but described it as a joint venture. On Monday, he signed an executive order withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. As of January 19, the organization had 124 member states, including the U.S. Trump argued that the cost of involvement was too high for the U.S., noting that it had contributed $500 million to support the organization, while China only paid $39 million.
A fire raged through a 12-story hotel at a popular ski resort in northwestern Turkey early Tuesday during a school holiday, killing at least 76 people, at least 2 of them when they jumped from the building to escape the flames. The Interior Minister said at least 51 people were also injured in the fire at the Grand Cartel Hotel in Kartakaya, some 300 kilometers east of Istanbul. The fire occurred near the start of a 2-week winter break for school, when hotels in the region are packed. The minister told reporters outside the hotel, "Our hearts are broken, we are in mourning."
But you should know that whoever is responsible for causing this pain will not escape justice. The government appointed 6 prosecutors to lead an investigation into the blaze, which is believed to have started in the hotel's restaurant section. 9 people have been detained as part of the investigation into the fire. Witnesses and reports suggested that the hotel's fire detection system failed to operate. Earlier, Justice Minister Yilmaz Tunç said the hotel's owner was among the people detained for questioning in the probe. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan announced a day of national mourning to be observed on Wednesday. All flags at government buildings and Turkish diplomatic mission abroad would be lowered to half-staff.
China has executed a man who killed 35 people by plowing his car into crowds at a sports center in November, marking the country's deadliest public attack in decades. Fan, 62, was executed just over 3 weeks after being sentenced to death by a court in Zhuhai, where the attack occurred. China has recently experienced a surge in sudden acts of violence targeting random members of the public, coinciding with a stalling economic growth. This has unsettled a population long accustomed to low violent crime rates and ubiquitous surveillance.
Chinese officials have ramped up security measures and called for swift and severe punishment for offenders in a bid to deter future attacks. Fan, the Zhuhai attacker, drove his car into the crowd on November 11th in a rage caused by his failed marriage and what he perceived as an unfair divorce settlement. The attacker rammed his small off-road vehicle across the grounds of Zhuhai Sports Center, hitting dozens of people exercising around a track. When police attempted to intercept his escape, they found Fan in the car trying to harm himself with a knife and took him to a hospital. The court found Fan's motives extremely vile, the nature of his crime extremely heinous, the method particularly cruel, and the consequences particularly severe, posing great harm to society.
Apple has suspended a new AI feature following criticism and complaints about repeated mistakes in its summaries of news headlines. The tech giant had been under mounting pressure to withdraw the service, which sent notifications that appeared to originate from news organizations' apps. An Apple spokesperson said, "We are working on improvements and will make them available in the future software update." The journalism organization, Reporters Without Borders, stated that the situation highlighted the dangers of rushing new features to market.
It said in a statement, "Innovation must not come at the expense of citizens' right to reliable information." Apple decided to disable the feature entirely for news and entertainment apps. An Apple spokesperson said, "With the latest beta releases of iOS 18.3, iPadOS 18.3, and macOS Sequoia 15.3, notification summaries for the news and entertainment category will be temporarily unavailable. For the other apps, the AI-generated summaries of app alerts will appear using italicized text." A spokesperson said, "We're pleased Apple listened to our concerns and paused the feature for news. We look forward to working with them constructively on next steps. Our priority is the accuracy of the news, which is essential for building trust."
In the shadows of Iceland's largest geothermal power station, a large warehouse houses a high-tech indoor farm unlike anything you've ever seen. Under a strange pink-purple glow, illuminated panels buzz, and cylindrical columns of water bubbles away as a futuristic crop of microalgae grows. Iceland's Vasax technology has developed a system that harnesses energy and other resources from the nearby power plants to cultivate these tiny aquatic organisms. The general manager said, "It's a new way of thinking about food production," as he gives a tour of the space-age facility.
For much of our history, humans have consumed seaweed, also known as macroalgae. But its tiny relative, microalgae, has been a less common food source, although it was eaten for centuries in ancient Central America and Africa. Now, scientists and entrepreneurs are increasingly exploring its potential as a nutrition-rich, sustainable food. The Vaxa site produces them, both as food for people and for feed in fish and shrimp farming. It also grows a type of bacteria called Arthrospira, also known as blue-green algae, as it shares similar properties with microalgae. When dried, it's known as spirulina and is used as a dietary supplement, a food ingredient, and as a bright blue food coloring. These tiny organisms photosynthesize, capturing energy from light to absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen.
The answer for yesterday was C, inevitable. The new policy is inevitable to reduce environmental impact. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into today's news. President Donald Trump returns to the White House. Number 1, category, 类别. Books in the library are divided into different categories like fiction, nonfiction, and reference. Number 2, elaborate, 详尽的. Can you elaborate on your plans to improve the company's performance? Number 3, withdraw, 撤回. She decided to withdraw from the competition due to an injury. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday news. Be sure to tune into Funday news from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Wade Lee, your host. I'll see you next time.